Hey everybody, it's Andrew back again with another video, and today I have a really good one that I think won't break the bank, but it gives you a lot of price to performance ratio, a lot of bang for the buck. Yes, I'm talking about the Dell Inspiron 16 Plus 7630 here for 2023. Now, the Inspiron 16 Plus has been a very popular one on the channel because I think people like what you get for the price. Now, right now it's on sale for about $1,250. Well, what does that get you? Well, it gets you the Core i7 13700H. It gets you the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 GPU. Yeah, we're not playing around here. That's going to be good for doing content creation and video editing, occasional games here and there. Actually, more than an occasional game here and there. It's pretty good in that regard. And it also gives you pretty nice battery life. They threw in a nice display this time around, bumped up the refresh rate. It now has a dynamic refresh rate of 120 hertz. So it's loaded with a lot of features you normally find in a laptop that is much more expensive. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Dell Inspiron 16 Plus 7630 here for 2023. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Dell. I'm not being sponsored by Dell. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Dell is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from Dell, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, pricing when I did my initial live unboxing was $1,649.99 over at Dell's website, but as of the recording of this video on September 7th, 2023, that price has been slashed to $1,249.99, making this even better in terms of a price to performance ratio, in terms of a better deal. For those interested, of course, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. You know the drill, folks. Without further ado, let's get this out of the box. Okay, so here we have the unit itself, but let's see what power charger they give us. It is a 130 watt power adapter, and it is a barrel pin connection. Inspiron 16 Plus 7630 and warranty information, yada, yada, yada. And that is all that is in the box. So let's close this up. And of course, we get the unit itself, and we have the platinum silver this time around. I wouldn't say it's a top tier premium one, but it is definitely a nice looking laptop. It's an all metal design. I don't see too much flex in the chassis. You can see it here. You can see the side angle there. You can see the front angle there. And then of course you got some venting on that side and more ports on that side. We're going to go over that in a moment. And of course, you can certainly open up this with one finger. 2.174 kilograms or 4 pounds, 12.7 ounces. Total travel weight here. Let's add this on. And then of course the charger. That brings it all in at 2.647 kilograms or 5 pounds, 13.4 ounces. So not the lightest thing out there, certainly not the heaviest, but definitely a nice laptop, a general purpose laptop to take with you. If you have to take it with you on the go, it's not going to really weigh you down that much, although you will feel it in your bag, that's for sure. Okay, let's check out the port selection. We're going to start off on the left side where you get your power port in. You get a vent to help with the cooling, an HDMI 2.0 port, a USB-A Type A port 3.2 Gen 1. Next to that is a USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port that supports power delivery and display port out. Moving over to the right side, you get your micro SD card reader, a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack, and finally a USB-A Type A 3.2 Gen 1 port, the second on this laptop, which is great in terms of the legacy ports as well as some modern ports, so a nice port selection overall. Now, it's pretty easy to get inside this laptop, although there are 9 T5 Torx screws. I'm not sure why they need 9, but they do have 9 here. You remove them, not too bad. And then, of course, use a guitar pick or pry tool to pry off the bottom plate. Take your time, start around the edges and work your way around. And that's it. You're pretty much in. Now, as far as user upgradability, good news when it comes to the RAM. There are two SODIMM slots here. We're looking at DDR5 4800 megahertz RAM, and it is running in dual channel mode. Now, my review unit has two 8GB sticks for a total of 16 gigabytes of RAM, but you can go up to 32 in terms of configuring it over on Dell's website. So that's a welcome addition. Certainly, we like to see SODIMM slots here. The SSD is 1 terabyte here in terms of the review unit. It's NVMe PCIe Gen 4, and judging by these reads and writes, that is certainly what we like to see here in 2023. And when it comes to wireless, you're looking at Wi-Fi 6E Bluetooth combo card, and that's slotted in. That means if you have to change it out down the road, that is an option. Now, as far as that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, both have been working very good. No issues on either front, both working flawlessly. That's good. And while we're inside, you'll notice the two fans for cooling. One fan is bigger than the other. You'll notice that. And you'll also notice that 86 watt-hour battery. We'll get into the cooling and the battery life later on in this review. Now, we're seeing a change in terms of the display year over year. They bumped it down to a 2.5K display as opposed to that 3K display we saw last year. And I'm not complaining about it because we're seeing better battery life. We'll get into that in a little bit. But what we have here is a 16-inch 2.5K display that's 2560 by 1600 anti-glare, non-touch display. And I can tell you it's a very good display when it comes to the metrics here, although it caps out at a total of 300 nits. And I actually measured a little bit below that. 288 nits in terms of the screen brightness, but with the matte display, not as much of an issue if it would be a glossy display. So just keep that in mind. We're seeing decent coverage of the color gamut, 100% sRGB. So that's been pretty good. It's color accurate, under 2. We like to see we got 1.39, and that's a very good Delta E score, meaning this is a color accurate display. 1000:1 contrast ratio is very good. Low black levels, which is very good, 0.25, and a good white point overall. I didn't notice any PWM or screen flickering in my testing, which is always welcome. And I found it to be a very good media consumption device. Watching Netflix, Amazon, YouTube has been very good. Now, it's not an HDR display or anything like that. Again, price point is going to be an issue here as far as what they're going to give you, but they do give you a lot of features for this price. There's no doubt about it. And this is a very good display for that category. Now, as far as the touch, there is no touch here. This is a non-touch display at it. There is no touch option, so just keep that in mind. But I think overall, the panel is very good, and I can't complain at this price point. So really good offering here on this very good general purpose laptop, in my opinion. So this is the Dell Inspiron 16 Plus 7630 here for 2023. This is a 1080p camera. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of these mics? This is not an IR camera, no face recognition as far as Windows Hello login, but there is a power button that doubles as a fingerprint scanner, allowing you to log in with Windows Hello. Setup was easy and worked well, registering my finger each and every time I used it. Now, there is a shutter switch, a physical shutter switch above the camera, giving you the ability for more security and privacy, allowing you to turn off the camera. I like that. Overall, I think it's pretty good, but what do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, let's talk performance, and this is running the Intel Core i7-13700H, a 45-watt CPU from Intel with 14 cores. That's 8 efficient cores and 6 performance cores, and as you can see from these benchmark results, very good single and multi-core performance. So if you're going to do things such as Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, the performance will be very good. It will handle everything you throw at it without any issues. Very good in that regard. Now, when it comes to things like video editing, you'll be able to do that because of the CPU and the GPU here, which is the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 with a total TGP of only 60 watts. So keep that in mind if you think about gaming. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's focus on the single core performance, which was very good, and the multi-core performance, as you can see here from the results on the Cinebench R23, certainly holding its own with more expensive options out there from some of its competition. And speaking of video editing and content creation, when I rendered an H.264 4K video in DaVinci Resolve, it took 1 minute 45 seconds to render that video, beating out the Apple Mac Studio with the M1 Max. That's pretty impressive for a sort of budget level 16-inch laptop. And when I changed the codec to H.265, it took 1 minute 40 seconds to render that video, even faster. Very good when it comes to video editing on this laptop. Now, when it comes to gaming, I would say this is not a gaming laptop per se, but with this CPU-GPU combination, gaming is certainly possible on some of the more popular titles. For instance, Cyberpunk 2077, if you lower the settings, you'll get some very playable frame rates, and even on the ultra settings here, I was able to get 65 frames per second, so this is impressive here, especially for a laptop coming in at around $1,250 right now on sale, and so gaming is definitely doable on this laptop. Now, good news when it comes to thermal throttling. When I ran the Time Spy stress test, it got a passing score of 98.4%, meaning it detected very little, if any, thermal throttling. And when it comes to the surface temperatures, there are a couple of hot spots, one on the keyboard there and on the underside, as you see here, but nothing overly hot, nothing too hot to the touch. And when you're in the balance mode, nothing to write home about. And it never went above 41, 42 decibels when I ran it under performance mode when it comes to that fan noise. So nothing too distracting, nothing overly loud. When you're in the optimized mode, not much of an issue in terms of the fan noise as far as being too distracting. Now, we're seeing an improvement when it comes to battery life. Now, this sports the same 86 watt-hour battery as last year's model, but one difference here is that this does have that 120 hertz option. It's a dynamic refresh rate option. I kept it at 120, and I got 10 hours and 16 minutes on the PC Mark X Modern Office battery test. When I ran the same test on the 7620 from last year with its 60 hertz display, it did 8 hours, 39 minutes on that same test. So we're seeing a nice year-over-year improvement in terms of that test. And then as far as the PC Mark X video playback, 8 hours and 36 minutes on the new model versus the 7 hours and 59 minutes I got on last year's model. So we're seeing, again, year over year, an improvement, something we like to see. Now, keep in mind, if you bump it down to 60 hertz, you probably can get another hour, maybe hour and a half more in terms of the battery life on that 7630. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger, and the screen goes back as far as you see here. It's a clamshell design, no 180-degree hinge, for those wondering, but it does give you a pretty nice viewing angle overall. Now, as far as those hinges, I saw very little screen wobble, which is great. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I don't like to see it when I'm typing, so that's very good. And I thought the typing experience on the keyboard was very good as far as the tactility, the key travel. It all worked pretty good for long documents, emails, and the like. I never felt like my fingers were going to bottom out or anything. It was really comfortable for typing. Now, it is a backlit keyboard, although it is a little sometimes hard to see the contrast between the white LED backlight and the gray keys, although not terrible, but definitely usable to a dark room or a dimly lit environment to get work done. That's always good. Now, as far as that precision touchpad, I thought the scrolling was very good, very responsive, and as far as the gestures, everything worked very well. I thought it's a nicely sized touchpad. It's a little bit different from last year, which had a little bit more of a diving style board touchpad. Here you have a more traditional style touchpad. It's not haptic or anything, but I felt it was responsive enough for what you need to do. Now, when it comes to the audio, you're looking at 4 tuned audio process speakers by Dolby Atmos. Waves Max Audio Pro is here, and I thought it was okay. I thought the sound was very good in terms of the volume, the mids. There was some bass here. I thought the overall sound filled up the room rather nicely, but I want you to be the judge. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's give it a listen. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Dell Inspiron 16 Plus 7630 here for 2023? And there's a lot to like here, especially for this price point. You get a nice display, quiet under heavy load. You get the 2 SODIMM slots for user upgradability. You get the decent battery life, the quad speakers, the plenty of ports, and the relatively affordable price tag that it comes in at. Now, as far as the negatives, it's not a 3K option anymore, although that display, the 2.5K display, did bump up that dynamic refresh rate, 120 hertz here. You gotta love that. It can get warm under heavy load, and it only has that one SSD slot. These are not deal breakers by any stretch of the imagination, so take that for what it's worth. I think the overall takeaway is this is a really great, affordable laptop if you want to get work done, creative work done, thanks to that CPU-GPU combination. I think they give you a lot of bang for the buck here, and I highly recommend the Dell Inspiron 16 Plus 7630 here for 2023. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and that platform formerly known as Twitter. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.